Hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you're watching from. It is so wonderful to be here with you today. I have been having so many beautiful experiences just tapping into my truth, which is actually the session for today, on 5 ways to your satisfaction. My name is Ralitza Spassova, and I am a Mastery Method certified coach. And I'm calling in today from the traditional unceded territories of the Coquitlam First Nations peoples. And I'm so grateful to be here, and I acknowledge that I'm a settler on this land. And I'm actively working towards doing my part in truth and reconciliation. And I'm always open to learning more and asking, how can I help? So if there's any suggestions you have for me, please feel confident and comfortable reaching out and letting me know. I am so happy to be in service. I am so passionate to do my part and to really do my best that I can. So thank you. So today I am here to talk with you, invite you into your truth. So we're on day 4 of 5 ways to satisfaction. And today's is really, really important. It's actually kind of the core of it all. And it's really getting into yourself, turning inwards, trusting your truth, and turning up. Now, when it comes to turning inwards, a lot of us tend to live our lives thinking that we're living for ourselves, but the truth is we're usually making excuses. We are usually living for others, and that's not to say everyone, but a lot of times we don't prioritize ourselves. Not only that, for those people who do prioritize themselves, usually goals are external and not necessarily internal. And so now there's this big fad of personal development and doing our own work and achieving bigger, better, greater. But a lot of times with this personal development, I hear and I notice people outsourcing their happiness and outsourcing their truth. So some ways strategically are prioritizing other people. And the deeper desire is to be loved, because when we support other people, they in turn appreciate us, and therefore we feel loved. But the desire is really deeper than prioritizing other people, being in service, being a good mom, being a good partner, being a good employee. What we really, truly, deeply want is to be loved, right? And so sourcing that love. I had such a beautiful call today with one of my clients who was able to tap into her truth about what her trigger meant to her. And it took her back to a younger self, a time that this trigger was established. And she was really able to dive into that younger self, that younger part of her, and what did that younger part of her really want or need in that moment. And she came to the realization that the certain things that she needed, she was able to actually give to herself. And so we tend to outsource our happiness. We tend to put expectations on our loved ones, on our career to give us satisfaction, for example. We tend to outsource our love relationship. Instead of loving ourselves, we expect to be loved by our partner, and in a very specific way. So there's another coach, Brooke Castillo, and she talks about the manual. And she talks about how like we have manuals for people and how we have certain expectations for them to do things in a very specific way, but we never communicate those expectations, and we expect them to just be mind readers and to just do the things the way we want them to be done. And so that always kind of brings me back to, okay, so we have these expectations, but what are the expectations around? So maybe there's a block there about control, right? Controlling the situation. And so when we talk about blocks or triggers, when these things come up, there's actually nothing wrong with them. But being able to recognize and identify the block or the trigger or the pattern or the deep desire then brings that power back to us. And it helps us to actually do something with it. So when we recognize that all of our desires, all of that deep wanting that we have is within our control, and when we can tap into our truth and figure out actually what we need, we can stop projecting onto other people our needs, and we can meet those needs ourselves. So we don't have to get them from the outside world. We can create them internally. And when we create them internally, it's 5 times easier. We've talked about this before, but it's 5 times easier to actually get that external goal once you realize that you have what you want already, that deeper desire, it's already there. You already have it. So the external goal means nothing about you, your value, your worth, the love that you receive, the way that who you are, and your worth is inherent. And so from that place, it's a lot easier to accomplish. You're not accomplishing for the sake of accomplishing something. You're accomplishing because it's your passion and it's your purpose and you love what you do. And from that place, that's so satisfying. So recently I've received quite a bit of coaching around my Enneagram 3. So if you don't know what the Enneagram is, I strongly recommend that you look it up, and there's free quizzes online that you can do. But the Enneagram, and I'm probably going to do it a disservice to try to explain it, but I'll just summarize. It's basically the way that we have chosen to show up in the world in order to get our core desires and needs met. And so for me, I have a story around achievement. And I think it was in 6th grade, I got glasses, I got straight A's. And that's the memory where I finally feel like I'm seen, like I'm appreciated, like I'm loved, I'm worthy. I'm worthy of receiving love and celebration. And my parents are proud of me for the first time. And before that, I felt like I was just in the way. And so because I have that story, my pattern of showing up in the world is I'm going to be an achiever. That's where I get my worth. And so I'm a 3-wing 2 on the Enneagram. And not surprisingly, I went into healthcare. I think a lot of 3-wing 2s or 2-wing 3s or 2-wing 1s, we go into these sort of fields of service because we have that deeper desire to externalize our value. So the helpers are helping others instead of helping themselves. And the achievers are going and looking outward for their achievements instead of looking for their worth internally. So that's what's true for me. That's what I have learned, and my personal development has taken me there. And so through doing my own personal work, through receiving coaching and being able to actually align with myself and dive deep in my truth, I can now identify what is the most intelligent next step for me now that I feel worthy, regardless of my accomplishment. Now I offer what I offer. I offer my truth from a place that's clean. It has nothing to do with monetary gain. It has nothing to do with my value in the world. I know that I'm inherently worthy and valuable. And so now I can just show up and be in service and just share that unconditional love. And whether someone appreciates it or not means nothing about me. Whether somebody sees it or not means nothing about me. Whether someone sends me a beautiful message or a spiteful, hateful, angry message, it means nothing about me. Those are just projections of theirs. I triggered something in them to get them to respond. And that's something that, because they have a trigger, because they've responded, it means they just need more love. And so if I respond in a way that's angry or spiteful or defensive, that's just me reacting. That's not me being in my essence and my whole and my unconditional love, because I see that that's just a reaction. It's a response to keep them safe. And it has nothing to do with me. So from this place, it's so amazing to be able to show up in the world and just do what I do, because it comes from that inner source, and it is so satisfying and so beautiful. And again, no matter what the outcome is, I'm happy, I'm satisfied, and I feel so deeply nourished by the way that I show up. And so today is all about trusting your truth. Trusting your truth is one of the most powerful things you can do in your life. Once you become solid in your truth, nothing and nobody can manipulate you. And the universe can support your evolution. Manifestation becomes a daily habit, and limits become irrelevant. It's really difficult to feel unsatisfied from this place of alignment. So I invite you to slow down, to tap into your truth, to recognize the stories that come up for you, to recognize the limiting beliefs, to take a step back, right? To slow it down, to really be with yourself so that you can truly embody and embrace your two equal and opposite energies, so that you can give from a place of love and abundance instead of a place of scarcity and tightness and lack. And so that you can show up more beautifully in the world as exactly who you are, 100% authentically, and know that other people's responses, they're just a mirror to the way that we're not seeing ourselves. So when someone responds to us and it touches something, it triggers something, that means that we believe them. And essentially that means that we think the same thing about ourselves. And so that's a really beautiful space for compassionate self-forgiveness. And it's one of the tools we learn and practice in the Coaching Mastery method in the Institute for Coaching Mastery. And I absolutely love it. It's so beautiful. And I'll happily guide you through that process now so that you can compassionately forgive yourself for the misunderstanding or the belief. And it's all about judgment. We're forgiving judgments about ourselves, about our world, about the people in our life, about situations. And we're just holding space for the truth, and it'll just naturally come through. So when we catch our judgments, for example, I forgive myself for buying into the misunderstanding that I'm only worthy of love when I have big achievements. And the truth is that I'm inherently worthy of love, and that no matter what I do, whether I succeed, whether I accomplish something, whether I fail miserably, and I mean, truly, there's no such thing as failure, because everything is just a learning lesson. Everything is just life being so intelligent and pushing us to find more alignment, to find more of our truth before we can actually get that thing that we want. So there's never such thing as a failure. And our worth comes from, my worth comes from me showing up for myself and being that source of unconditional love for myself, taking time for myself, prioritizing myself, really being true to my truth. And if something is out of alignment, being able to speak that truth with conviction that it's just my truth. It is what it is, and people can take it or leave it. But I'm living authentically, and that's all that matters. So you can do this practice yourself with basically any belief that you have, any judgment, any fears, any blocks, and just sit with it for a minute. Allow it to sink in, feel it. Yeah, it's okay. Just be with it. And then you can question the stories that come up. What does this mean about you? And then you can forgive each of those stories. Just slow it down. Maybe write them down. If you want, pause this and go back. Just journal what comes up for you. And then go back and forgive each one of those judgments that came up. Yeah. So I forgive myself for buying into the misunderstanding, or I forgive myself for judging this person, this situation, myself as. And then after that, the truth is. And hold space for that truth. And I invite you to speak it out loud. And don't stop until it's confident and comfortable that it's come through. There's different learning styles and there's different styles of going through this work. Sometimes verbal is really helpful for people. If you're an auditory learner, speaking out loud can be really supportive. If you're a visual learner, drawing or writing about it, so actually seeing it. If you're a read-write learner, sometimes writing it down and then reading it again can help. And then if you're a kinesthetic learner, sometimes you actually have to do something with it. So with these forgivenesses, it's really important to ground it in an action step. And we usually finish all the coaching sessions with an action step. So an action step towards that new truth, that newfound connection, that depth, that truth of yours, doing more of that. So thank you for being with me today. I want to send you all of my love, all of my support. If you would like to work with me, feel free to send me a message and I would love to hear from you. Have a beautiful day. Also, feel free to send me questions, any questions you have. Absolutely. Thank you so much for being with me and good night. Have a good day. Have a good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Sending you my love.